现在是纽约秋冬2021年的时尚周，但是这对我们常在公司上班啊、开会、做简报或者是 con call， 跟我们有什么关系呢？ Hello， 欢迎来到 Executive Plus 主管双语沟通力的 podcast。我们希望带给大家最实用的沟通工具，包括了成功人士对全球市场的分享、职场英语的技能、跨文化沟通技巧与其他能帮助您成为出色领导者的工具。Hi, I'm Sherry, founder of Executive Plus. As a language trainer and certified coach, I've trained hundreds of managers from Fortune 500 companies such as Dior, Google, Deloitte, and Yahoo.
And I'm Nick, Director of Communication Strategy at Presentality. I've helped startups raise millions of US dollars in funding and train the executives of publicly listed companies to present on the global stage.
Welcome to the Executive Plus podcast,
where you can take your communication and language skills from good to great. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Executive Plus podcast, episode 45. Now this week we're actually looking at its New York Fashion Week 2021. Now for a lot of us who are just going to work, this kind of high fashion or what's going on seems a bit far from us. But with the recent pandemic, a lot of things have been shifting in the fashion industry that connects back to things that we need to handle. Now, the real person to speak as an expert on this is my good co-host, Sherry. Sherry, you went to the US's top design school, Parsons, where most of the fashion or the big fashion designers come out of. You also will tell us you're dressing down one day and then make the rest of us look like total slobs in the office. So I'd be curious, what have you seen with the recent conversations in fashion, and how does that connect back to us?
First of all, I have to say I feel very special today. I can talk about my passion, which, we haven't touched on in our podcast.
We're getting there.
基本上真的是这种所谓的 fashion trend 在近几年其实它有个很大的变化，那你也会发现越来越多大品牌它开始就是做一些 sustainability 的一些不管是 create extra labels 或者是它跟其他人合作，或者是某些品牌基本上就是说我就是 sustainable 的 label， 我做所有的东西我们都是用 recycled material 或者是比如说 recycled cotton， 各式各样的一种方式，他们就是 sustainable labels。那加上现在的疫情，大家也觉得我们的一些活动变少了，在家变多了，会发现好像所谓的 fashion trend 不需要移动那么快了，而且你会发现很多的品牌他们的 trends 也没有真的像之前那么多，之前有很多 trends they have like 6 different new collection per year， 有的时候他开始 cut it down into 4， so we're really seeing that really big shift lately in these couple years.
Right. Even recently, H&M announced its collaboration with other brands that are really focused on the sustainability, and they intend to display their new collaborations or their new direction during this week.
Yeah, 所以其实就算是你知道 fashion trends 它改得非常的快啊，颜色啊，每一季都有不同的颜色，但是基本上其实这种 sustainability 这个主题它是会一直 carried over， 那又加上我们的pandemic， 我们的疫情，有其实非常多的人就意识到这个 sustainable 其实是最重要的，所以你会看到像有非常多的 YouTuber， 他们从 fast fashion 一直现在已经慢慢的 evolve 到了 sustainable YouTuber and influencer.
Now, this all reminds me of that scene in The Devil Wears Prada where the main character Andy is laughing at what's happening in the room.
You mean the 2 belts?
Yeah, the 2 belts. And then Miranda turns around and gives her a speech about, these fashion houses or these fashion leaders actually dictate what happens even down to the lowest rungs of fashion, and it will have that influence for years. So, getting back into, for us, these kind of everyday commoners, how should we start looking at sustainability in the way that we dress?
所以第一个，我觉得第一步是你不需要去跑到那些品牌说他们sustainable 的品牌去看他们有什么东西，然后再花多点钱买回家，是不用的。你第一步应该是要看到你自己的 closet. Go into your closet, step number 1. Okay? And then step number 2, you start to look for the themes. 那接下来就给大家一些主题。第一个，你先去挑黑色跟白色的东西，因为它是最基本的。Number 2, you would want solid color. Solid color 就是一个单色系的，不是 stripes。有很多像条纹啊，或者是 pattern 啊，这些会比较容易过时，所以你先挑单色的。Okay, solid color. And then you will look for form-fitting clothes, 就是合你身材的。合你身材不是紧身哦，不是那种 super tight,
Right.
It's form-fitting, 就是不管你的身形是圆啊，是比较扁还是怎么样，其实大家都不一樣，但是它是能够是适合你身材，合你身形的。And another thing which is really important is structure clothings. 那有很多 structure clothing 就是你可以想象，就是比如说西装外套，它是比较挺的，它的材质是挺的，因为基本上你在工作的时候穿这种比较挺的衣服，它是带给你很利落感。因为有时候大家有时候会觉得穿宽松会比较舒服，但是它会让人家感受到那种比较邋遢的感觉 to be quite honest. And lastly, you need to pick out your better quality clothes. So for example, 比如说你比较需要一些去长期去 take care 的单品，比如说像 coat or jacket or 你的 sweater， 就是如果你穿毛衣可能是 cashmere 或者是 wool sweater， 你先把这些先拿出来。
So these are the staples, right? Because I'm looking now at wearing these clothing over several years. But just black and white or solid color doesn't sound a little boring. Like, what happens if I want to show my personality in this more sustainable future of fashion? Where does my own tastes come in?
我觉得一个非常简单的方式，当然你也要有你的个性嘛，you want to add your little personality, individual personalities in there. 那这个是很简单的，就是你可以利用一些 accessories, 一些配件，比如说 scarves, you can do jewelry, 你可能 jewelry 你特别喜欢比较亮、比较大一点的，或者是很大的 hoops 啊，像那种圆形的那种耳环，或者是一些比较 statement necklace, 一些比较夸张一点的一些项链，或者是 shoes. So, some people really like really fun shoes. Or socks as well.
Yeah, I think for men especially, socks and ties is where you get to play with your personality. Yes. One of my business partner, Andrew, has very bright and sort of special socks all the time. I myself have a collection of ties, and some of the ties that I have in there can be a little more interesting. I've had a Looney Tunes tie. It was like the second tie I had, even starting back when I was a teenager, but I still have that tie, and it gets compliments anytime that I decide to run it. Yeah. Cufflinks for men can be another one. I got a gift where I got some PlayStation controller cufflinks. I also have like a Vespa scooter cufflink, and these always just kind of give a little bit more personality,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. 所以其实男人来讲，人家都说男人东西蛮无聊，但是不是，很多都藏在细节里面。Again, socks for men, ties for men, 还有那种袖扣啊 cufflinks。如果你穿那种 French cuff 的人的话，其实这些都是一个蛮有意思，就是可以展现你的个人的特性的地方。
All right, so back to another reason people have questions about fashion recently is if we're doing a lot of things online, we're doing conference calls, why do I need to invest money in the way I look?
I would say 真的，如果我们现在常常都在家，然后有时候当然对外，尤其是跟外国的时候，我们都一定是用 conference call， 需不需要再花多点钱去置装呢？ Well， 如果你很想要的话，没有问题啦。但是基本上 you don't have to， 因为其实在做 conference call 有一些 tips and tricks 会让你看起来更 professional， 而且是更有精神。那我们刚刚讲到就是我们尽量穿一些比较 form-fitting clothes， 也就是稍微比较合身一点的衣服。其实在线上的开会，这个线上的 con call 的时候特别的重要。因为什么呢？你会发现当然 我们在线上的时候嘛，你的那个镜头它其实基本上它会在胸线以下的部分 right 就会 cut 掉了，所以如果你穿的是一个很宽松的衣服，你整个人会看起来就是比较大一只。I don't know, I've tested out many times and I just felt like, oh, I look so much more put together if I wear a form-fitting top.
I think a lot of that also has to do with just the physics of sitting down. Like a lot of times when you sit down, certain clothing gets kind of pushed up.
Yeah.
So if you're wearing something very loose or baggy, the moment you sit down, it will just kind of shove it and balloon it out.
Yeah.
Now, for those of us who are concerned about looking more fit, that's not a great look for you as well.
And yeah, sometimes when we're sitting down,unfortunately, 我们常常习惯是会有点驼背 right? We slouch when we sit for a period of time, for a long period of time. So, again, 当你有一点驼背的时候，你的衣服它会开始皱褶就会发生 Yeah. So again, I think a form-fitting clothes, it's better on camera for sure.
Yes. And for those of you who are filming or conference calling at night from your home because you're talking, say, the US or Europe, even though they always make the joke that, no one can see your bottom half, so you can wear sweatpants or no pants or whatever, we still suggest put together the whole outfit.
Yes.
One is that gives you more confidence because you know you look good. But two is if anything ever happens and you do want to stand up, you don't want to feel awkward about it. You want to just freely feel like you can stand up and go somewhere without breaking the kind of illusion that you have created.
Yeah, exactly. And 现在网络上非常多笑话，很多人就是只在 pandemic, people are in meetings and you stand up, you really forgot that you're just wearing underwear. So you don't want that situation to happen. 所以当然你已经是一整套的，请穿好。其实有的时候我自己在上课的时候，在教课的时候，有的时候時間不夠了，我發現我就是穿的是睡褲，然後呢就會很慘，就是你要站起來拿 handout 的時候 crap.
Yeah, I got to get my briefcase, but it's so far away from me.
Exactly. 所以真的要小心，要穿一整套的。And also 这个时候因为在 camera 上面还是尽量避免穿那种条纹太多或者是 pattern 非常的明显的衣服，因为在镜头上面有的时候会看起来蛮 distracted. Yeah.
Also, avoiding distraction but standing out, those solid colors come into play. Recently, a lot of people have been looking at the app Clubhouse, and you'll just notice by looking at their photos, whether it's a professional photo or not, people with one solid color as a shirt stand out when you're looking through the list of who's in a room, as opposed to people who are wearing something very complicated or blending in with the background. So a lot of that time on camera, when you're just trying to stand out but not be distracting, that solid color comes into play.
And one extra tip for women, especially, 我们有的时候觉得在家很懒得化妆, but on camera, it's very cruel. The camera is very cruel to us. It really shows how tired you may look. 因为有时候在家，尤其是如果你在家必须要带小孩的人，真的有时候蛮累的啦，真的非常累。但是真的必须得化点妆 because for some reason, the camera just kind of reveals all those lines and like how tired you look. So a little makeup goes a very long way.
A little touch up.
Absolutely.
Well, we hope that this episode gives you a little bit of idea or insight into how you can start to keep your professional wardrobe in line with current fashion trends, but also how to look presentable in a conference call. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.
如果你喜欢我们的 podcast， 欢迎来追踪我们的主管英文 Executive Plus 的 Facebook。那也可以写信到我们的信箱 yourcareerplus@gmail.com。